Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to The Walking Dead Season 3. We're approaching the end. This very possibly will be the last recording of this series. David has proven himself to be unable to learn. He seems to talk the talk in some scenes, but then his actions completely disagree with his words. I imagine that that's bad writing. If it is supposed to be that way, and the characterization is that he is just duplicitous in the sense that he says one thing and does another, it doesn't really matter too much in the storyline. At the end, David's made himself far too much of a threat, in the same way that in the second season, the mentally disabled, or slash maybe she was just too young to understand, girl was too much of a threat, and I had Clementine leave her to die. It's time for David to die. As for New Richmond, Jesus, who was a pretty much non-character, Jesus / Paul came back and is saving the day with Kate and Clementine and Javi. And I imagine we're just going to see maybe 1 or 2 more scenes wrapping up Richmond getting secured, and then we've got to go chase after David. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a scene securing Richmond, we chase after David, make a final decision there. We get back to Richmond after that point, and then we see a reveal of where AJ is to Clementine, and then that probably will be it for the game. I don't feel like there's going to be major different endings for the game. The one thing you could have, certainly... Okay, that was David's truck. So David's dead. I was a good brother to him. I didn't have to kill him.
Dude, no.
I wonder if George shot him.
Gabriel.
Gabe.
Oh,
That's his name.
No. No.
I tried to stop him, Javi.
Is he bit?
That's when we crashed.
God damn.
Or his arm is broken.
David.
You fought for me, Javi. Until they... But I couldn't. There were so many.
So he's
I
bit.
fucked up. After everything you taught me. It really hurts. Really bad.
Easy, buddy. Don't worry about any of that now. I'm here for you.
You always have been.
No, Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe was doomed.
Do me a favor, go on.
Gabe, no.
Take my cards.
What?
My playing cards. Grab them. Teach AJ euchre. Okay?
Okay.
So, like, everybody's dead at the end of the story, as is almost all of the Walking Dead games.
Comes next.
I will.
You'd better.
There's an interesting thought here.
Gabe.
They have been in the Walking Dead series
Bye, Glenn.
from Telltale extremely cowardly
Give me your
about
gun,
having
Javi.
a character.
I don't want it.
Like,
Turn to him.
we've seen nobody that was heavily religious at all.
Gabe, I don't
Like,
know if
maybe
I
it
can
got
let you do
mentioned
that to
once
yourself.
by one character.
And I can't make you guys do it for me. Just give me the gun.
And see, Clementine did this
Hurry.
in the first, let's see.
Javi. You.
I'll let him shoot himself. Like, he's about to die anyways.
Okay, Gabe. Here you go.
Like, well, in the first season, actually,
Not be my father, Javi.
we didn't shoot
But you
him.
were a great dad.
We left the main
Please.
character.
Walk away. don't want you to see this.
Okay.
Bye.
You're gonna leave the gun with him, I
Bye,
guess.
buddy. I love you.
I love you too. I'll say hi to Mariana for you.
See, they won't show that either, which that probably would have gotten them a higher rating anyways, but I think this is in for mature already. But it might have put him into adults only. So it leaves Gabe as, oh, maybe he's not really dead. But of course he's dead. Maybe you wouldn't have seen that section had the game played differently. We're skipping forward 3 days. And see, there is a church here, but they were just holding council meetings in it. Let's see. Place photo on. I bet all of these people are people that worked on the game, which is kind of a creepy thing to say and possibly illegal to put people's photos in a game of your employees, because then that might constitute harassment or a death threat. Picture of him eating pudding. Did we take a picture of him eating pudding? And this is probably David. No, that's just Gabe and Mariana.
I'm glad you helped me, Javi. But I can't stop wondering how things might be different if you hadn't. Maybe Gabe wouldn't be with Mariana right now. They deserved better, Javi.
It's possible.
Better than us.
It's possible it could have been a different ending.
Gabe, Mariana.
Let's see.
They were my responsibility. They're dead because of me.
We're all to blame, not just you.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll take my share of it.
So
there's something interesting when we
everything
first
you thought it would be.
when
Not
we
yet.
first were in this room,
I'm staying here
Joan,
until it is, though.
who they've
It's
totally
not safe out
forgotten
there.
about,
Or in here. I'm pretty sure I can.
she
fix one of
offered
those.
you cake, a
I'm
sweet
not saying I
delicacy,
want it to be
versus
this way
Clint
forever, but
offering you
I want
a
you
nutritious
to
meal.
keep your distance. Not forever, but for a little while.
Let's see.
Really? Can we not be friends?
Not yet, Javi.
So
I
she.
need you to understand that.
So we don't even.
We can work
have
together
anything
to
together.
stay safe, but that's it.
That's exactly what it should have been this whole time. I've been
I
pushing
don't
the
hate
game
you,
to this
but
point.
I hate knowing what our future could have been.
So yeah, Joan turned out to be the leader, promising a cake while doing nothing helpful for the community, which is, I believe, roughly why Socrates, I believe, hated democracy, is because a doctor with bitter poison will always be passed over for a huckster with sweet nothings, offering something that's
Heading out?
Yes,
It's
indeed. We came here to put an end
appealing.
to the raiding. Looks like that's been done.
that horse
Glad we
does
got
not
it
look
settled.
animated well though.
Gotta move on.
Let's see. We could use
We
you.
could use you around here. Please stay.
We got other people depending on us, Javi. Just the way it is. I was worried about you, Javi. About who you are inside.
Maybe I should join
You
this
helped
group.
save these people, though. That goes a long way for me. Second chances are in short supply these days. That's what this place can be if you let it. Trust me, though. Life within walls is a hell of a lot different than life on the road. Don't take shortcuts like Joan. You gotta do the right thing.
Yeah.
Always. Good days, and especially bad.
Let's see. I'll do it. So I'm stepping up to be the leader now.
Absolutely.
Because
the right thing.
there is no leaders.
No matter what.
Good to hear.
Me
I
and
read
Kate.
people pretty well. Little gift of mine. You're a capable guy, Javi. Change is in the air here.
I still
You can
assume
lead
that this
change,
isn't supposed to
and I think you
actually be
should.
Jesus.
For the better. God knows this town could use it.
And no timer here, so take your pick. Will I step up or will I not? Of course, I'm going to say I step up.
You know what? I'm gonna step up. Lead this place in the right direction.
Then as far as I'm concerned, Richmond's
Jesus
in much better
admires your
hands than it
commitment.
was. Be vigilant. Trouble never stays too far away.
Now Clementine's gonna leave or say she's leaving. Like, it'd be nice if we could get her to stay a little bit.
You're alive.
Don't remind me. I'm not gonna say thank you for keeping me alive, but I'm gonna try and find something out there that might make me say thank you. Someday.
So where's AJ? Tell me. Where?
Let's see. Now's your chance.
Start saving your soul today. Tell us where AJ is.
Don't know how much of that soul I got left.
Please.
Why is he still holding out?
What the hell? He's at McCarroll Ranch. It's not too far from here. That's where we left him, at least.
Thank you. Good luck out there, Doctor.
So you're out of here too, huh?
Yeah. It's time. I have to find AJ, Javi. I've waited so long.
Like, this whole season really is
But
just
could you
around
do me
that.
one last favor before
Around
I
her
leave?
finding AJ. And now we're getting the standard Walking Dead wrap-up music, which didn't get overplayed this time. It got a little overplayed in previous seasons. So he's cutting her hair, which is what I did.
I used to do this for my niece.
That's nice of you.
She thought I was terrible at it.
Were you?
None of your business.
I have to see AJ, Javi. I have to see that he's okay. Do you think he remembers me? At least a little? Maybe?
Who could forget you, Clem? No one who knew you, I guarantee it.
Yeah, maybe. Everyone told us he was better off. After everything that's happened, I'm starting to think they're right. I don't know if I was a good mom or not.
You did your
I can't
best.
stop thinking about it.
That's all you can say.
I really wish I could.
You probably weren't.
It's not about good or not good.
Both are true.
kept
You
him
probably
alive.
weren't.
You did your job.
Until someone else had to do it for me.
Well, you didn't have to. They chose to.
Gabe told me you used to play baseball.
I did. I loved it.
He told me you fucked it all up, too.
Yep. Sure did.
Well, you survived.
She keeps talking. That's
I
gonna
had to.
cause
But you
her
loved
to
it.
get a bad haircut.
How do you
But notice that
survive that?
the scissors aren't actually touching her
How?
hair,
If you really loved it,
and
how?
You get back out there.
and
find
no
something better.
particles of hair
There
are
may
falling
not be
off.
something better out there.
You won't know
It
until you
feels
step
like
outside.
my choices here are the only thing that are really going to matter in the next season, if anything matters.
All done.
Well, how's it look?
And that is a different haircut. I'm not sure
You
she
know what?
actually looks
I'll
that
grab
way.
your hat.
Yeah, I don't think she looks that way in the final season.
I remember this team. Your dad ever teach you about baseball?
No, not really.
Well, you come back, and I'll tell you all about it.
It's a deal. If I bring AJ back with me, Will you teach him too?
Bring him back. Of course.
You bet.
Also, since I
It
know
belongs to
she's
you,
back with
Clementine.
him in the next season, of course I'm going to say that.
Bring him back.
It's really an entire season to put Clementine in the exact same position she was in at the last season. Like, nothing really changed for her other than superficial things, like she lost her finger and she's older. I don't feel like Javi was a great moral teacher and is going to influence the character. She's got a new jacket, which may have been Ava's jacket. They wanted to give her a new look so more cosplayers can play her. There isn't a ton of people that cosplay The Walking Dead, but there's a few. Telltale would definitely like more people to keep it on people's minds and attention. And that seems like that's it. Certainly doesn't seem like there's a different ending. Your experience with David was heartfelt. But notice that the credits are pausing on the beat of the music. You accepted David's hand after he punched you the night your father's died. You supported David's plan to meet at his house in Richmond. In this time of need, you distanced yourself from David. Did I? Oh, I guess it's saying I distanced myself from him because I chose not to go with him. And that's certainly a different kind of response. And it made me press to the right several times to move to the next section. Your experience with Kate was distant. So I imagine there were exactly 100% opposites. You were relieved to see Kate alive in the junkyard. You rejected Kate's plan to leave Richmond. Ending things once and for all, you rejected Kate. You asked Kate if you could try to be friends, but she wasn't ready yet. You would really have to play the whole game a second time for this. Now, I want to mention the music right now. It's cool and all, I like it, but it is totally the only song that has any kind of like vocals or any kind of unique, recognizable, rhythm or pattern. Everything else in the game has just been repeated music and remixes of the previous seasons. This should have been early into the game. When you look at something like Borderlands 2's intro, you are getting like recognizable pop music playing in the intro as you start the game, setting the mood, setting the tone, getting you emotionally invested by playing what is not particularly a cheap trick. It's a trick, but it's not a really cheap trick to license music. So you should do it early to get me more convinced to be happy and involved with these characters. So I didn't end up having no interest in Kate. Although I still have to look at everything from the idea. The song is called Grim Ranger apparently, and it's the only song listed. Like, just because it's a zombie apocalypse and you were raising 2 kids, had the 2 kids not been in the picture for the first episode and we picked up these 2 kids and there was something about that, maybe then. Alright, so I pushed right. Now it didn't work. I pushed right a second time, it didn't work. I pushed right a third time and it had to load. Your experience with Gabe was detached. You upset Gabe by not staying in the trailer for the night. You hid the truth about Gabe's neighborhood friend. You helped Kate save Richmond before going after Gabe. you gave a bitten Gabe your gun so he could prevent himself from turning. So, again, I agree. Totally detached from Gabe. Couldn't even remember his name throughout most of the series. And some of that may just be me. I'm not great with names, but honestly, he was really a non-character for several of the beginning episodes. And New Frontier storyline. Trip died. You reassured Trip by promising you wouldn't cause trouble in Prescott. Then you went behind Trip's back to get to the junkyard sooner. In the end, Trip saved your life on the overpass despite you not choosing him to be saved. Which inherently I imagine the New Frontier storyline is only really based around the decisions of the last 2 episodes. And instead of Trip, it would have said Ava. And you could probably go back and rewind it to the last 2 episodes and get a slightly different storyline with Ava, but I don't think she's going to make much of a difference. The problem with picking Ava is that her story and introduction to Javi, the main character you're playing as, which is totally the wrong character. You should have been playing as Clementine. Like, it should have just always been Clementine's story after the first season. Like, if Ava had played a bigger role in the episode 1 and 2, and you had found her somehow, that would have been better. Eleanor, you took Eleanor up on her offer to sneak away on horses to the junkyard. Then Eleanor leaked your plans to incite the resistance against Joan, but you forgave Eleanor for betraying you to Joan. So, these are exact opposites. We could have, you could have reassured Trip by promising you wouldn't cause trouble in Prescott, then not snuck into the junkyard sooner, and then maybe Eleanor wouldn't have leaked your plans to Joan, but I'm pretty sure some character would have. So if it wasn't Eleanor, it would have been Trip. Like, let's see. As far as Ava, Clementine took Ava up on her offer to meet and join the New Frontier, which I feel like that would have had to been the case. Like, it would be very weird if there were some way to play where she had never joined the New Frontier and they still somehow kidnapped AJ. Then Ava helped you get into the armory because you showed solidarity with David. Finally, you picked Ava to live, but Joan shot her to teach you a lesson. And see, this doesn't feel like a 50-50 situation. It feels like I could have saved both Ava and Lingard. Let's see, Clementine ignored Lingard's medical advice regarding AJ, which is a decision that Clementine made, not Javi. So you do get to play as Clementine, I guess, in the flashbacks, but that's almost in there as a way of them saying, yes, you do play as Clementine for parts of the game, and then it really isn't significant parts of the game. Then you refused to give Lingard a lethal injection. After the chaos, Lingard told you where AJ was located. So let's see. Maybe there would have been a different ending where you could have saved everybody, but I don't think so. I really don't think there's a perfect ending where you save everybody. I think it just wouldn't be a good story at that point. If nobody died throughout the entirety of this season. You abstained from gambling in Conrad's poker game. Then when Gabe threatened Conrad, you convinced your nephew to lower his gun. Later you shot Conrad in the tunnel after he threatened Gabe's life. Then Jesus / Paul, when you met him, you trusted Jesus and didn't bind his hands. Then you promised Jesus always to do the right thing in helping Sir Richmond survive. Lastly, you promised Jesus you would help lead Richmond. So they really shouldn't have called him Jesus. Just should have called him Paul. That would have been fine as a religious reference without being on the nose. Joan. We have no idea what happened to Joan. I guess you could have chased after her and tried to kill her. You kept your mouth shut when Joan baited you about Mariana's death. Then you brought Max to expose Joan into the Richmond Council, which I assume had I not kept my mouth shut, you just don't know. Currently, Joan's whereabouts are unknown. Let's see. Clint kicked you out of Richmond for stealing gas. Then you took Clint's deal and spared Joan's life. Finally, David shot Clint on stage after you agreed to Clint's deal. David caused it a lot of trouble in this last episode. Let's see. So, did you stand with David on the ledge? 92% of the players said yes. So there may have been a lot of scenarios in which that was the choice. What did you say to David about Kate? You and 15.9% of players denied having a relationship with Kate, but David didn't believe you. So many people clearly wanted there to be a relationship, a romantic relationship between Javi and Kate. 53.6% of players confessed your love for Kate. 28.3% of players came clean about your relationship with Kate, and 2.2% of players said nothing. So I wasn't in the complete minority. Did you fight David back? You and 63.5% of players showed you loved David even as he took his anger out on you. That's kind of a surprisingly high percentage, considering this is a video game and fight is the first instinct of most video game players. Wow, it's taking it forever to load. Did you go after Kate, Gabe, or Kate? You and 64.1% of players went with Kate and sealed the Richmond breach. Which, I guess there would have been a slightly different final section. We might have gotten a slightly different scene had we gone with Gabe. And I imagine that number is so high at 64.1% because so many people were going for the romantic option. Honestly, Telltale probably should think about doing just a romantic dating sim visual novel type game. That's all these really are, is slightly interactive visual novel games. So they don't need to all just be around action. It doesn't have to just be a mystery and a Wolf Among Us with some action, and Walking Dead is all action, and Batman is going to be all action. The Minecraft one is still pretty much action. They could definitely spread out to other genres and other stories to tell. Did Clementine come along with you? After your fight with David, Clementine teamed up with you and 46.7% of players. So apparently there were a lot of options there to convince Clementine to not go with you. But I don't think I got anywhere close to that happening in my playthrough. There you go. It's still taking forever to load up. Let's see. And so I've changed Clementine apparently, and this is all that probably cares for the final season that matters. She was an aggressive sociopathic survivor, and that was what I was playing her as in the previous season. Now I've turned her into a reformed loner. Clementine and AJ traveled solo through dangerous territory, fighting off walkers and barely surviving. In her short time with the New Frontier, Clem showed hope and grace, trusting in others, but looking out for AJ first and foremost. When Javi and David fought at the water tower, Clem remembered a similar fight long ago on a snow-covered stop. She took a carefully placed shot to stop David's violence without killing him. And see, that fight is from the previous season, and they're not even, they're just referencing it here in dialogue. And that was the big decision in the previous season. And the previous season pretty much pushed you to be a loner and trust nobody as Clementine. And it's still a pretty good idea. But Richmond seems like it happened. The weird thing here is the way the last season ended, she should have been with the whole group. And she was with the whole group in Prescott too. Remember, Clementine at the beginning of this game accidentally shot a guy in the head because her bullets wouldn't shoot. They were wet bullets. And she was just shooting at the guy because she had traded batteries with him, and she wants the bullets he promised to actually work. So she went from accidentally killing somebody by being so hardcore and being a lot like David was at the beginning to being a lot more trustworthy and reasonable at the end. Once David left in the truck with Gabe, Clem realized that splitting up was unacceptably dangerous. She went along with Javi to save the person he chose. So I guess maybe she wouldn't have realized that. And see, I doubt there's going to be an ad here for the final season. But we're going to get a wrap up. And this is just where they were before. She's making a lot of noise. See, I don't think this scene would have changed much if she came out as something else.
I'm gonna find you, AJ.
This is reminiscent of the open field that was, I think, the ending of the first game. And then they just ruin the mood and say, hey, why don't you buy more of our games? Not now. Literally, not now. Apparently, I'm not signed in. I don't know why I wouldn't be signed in, but whatever. This is really... I don't know if there's much to really recap here. This is a pretty frankly pointless season. It's probably the worst. I think if you were going to rank the 3 seasons, you would go, clearly season 1 was great, season 2 was not so great, and this is even worse. And there's no extras or anything here that you can deal with. The only real thing I could think is, if I was to say the one thing, it's like restarting. Previously it had been possible to rewind, but it seems like they've gotten rid of that feature. So if you were going to click this, you're going to have to go all the way back to episode 4 and just start playing from the previously
on The Walking Dead.
And like, nobody really wants to do that. Yeah, they've actually done a very bad job eliminating features, advertising to you like crazy. There's nothing here in the feed that isn't an advertisement. No extras, no way to hear that music again because you can't get into it's like it's purchased. Once you've purchased the season pass, it doesn't even bother to take it off the screen. The loading screen doesn't change. Felt like it was going to, but it really doesn't. There is the crowd play feature, which is an interesting idea, where you would have to sign into a Telltale account and get people to play along on their cell phones. that would have been really interesting for Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers when it first came out. But I think I've made my opinions pretty obvious. There's a lot of bad writing, a lot of nothing happening, a lot of unimportant characters, a lot of characters who are not fully characterized. You could have easily gotten rid of Ava, and well, I wouldn't have gotten rid of Ava. I would have combined Ava with Jesus as a character, and then that way you could have made the same decisions. Do you trust Ava, who is part of the New Frontier, or do you not? And then she would have played a much better role, and that would have at least had her appear and play a prominent role starting with episode 3. You really needed to stretch Mariana later. It's pretty obvious Gabe was never gonna die. I can't imagine that they would have changed it for all the romance and stuff that they were trying to do between Gabe and Clementine. That wouldn't yeah, just bad characterization, bad writing, and a go nowhere story playing as a character I don't care about. Javi probably not showing up in the final season. Jesus probably not showing up in the final season. It's fairly obvious that you'll be playing as Clementine unless you're playing as AJ for some reason, which would be interesting for like one scene, but really bad gameplay for an entire game. Really short series too. I've broken these down into 30-minute episodes and still probably don't have that much footage. It's just really short. I feel like a remake, reboot of this idea and this concept could be done a lot better. The good news is there is a Walking Dead game that's not being made by Telltale that should be coming out, I think, in a year, maybe 2. So maybe that will be more interesting. But they've already tried to make a couple of them and they weren't very good. And the Walking Dead TV series is probably on its last legs, and it'll continue going forward, but it's not going to catch the attention. I would say that the Walking Dead TV series also kind of stopped being interesting to me after the first couple of seasons when they fired all the original writers and replaced them. You could certainly try to do something closer to the comic book. There's plenty of zombie games out there that don't really have a need to license the Walking Dead name. It's kind of surprising that the creators of like Dying Light didn't just try to get the Walking Dead license. Dying Light probably is the best game for a zombie game for you to play. Yeah, but I don't think there's anything else to say. It's not great. Didn't hate the game. It was fine for one playthrough, but I would not want to play it a second time. I may go on YouTube and see if there's a collection of different endings for the game, but I don't think the endings are going to be too different either. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos because that helps me with YouTube. If you want to further follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. On my YouTube channel, I have a playlist tab, which has a playlist for every game I've ever covered. So you can go back and watch my playthrough of Walking Dead Season 1 and Season 2 if you missed that, although that would be kind of silly at this point. Although it might be slightly informative. I probably am in a slightly different mental position and have changed or grown a little bit since I played those seasons over the past couple years, so that very well may have changed my decision making. Things I very possibly could look at my own playthroughs and disagree with my own decisions. But I was wrapping up. If you want to support me, right now I'm asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me a game or a gift card. You could pick a game off my wish list or just any game you'd want to see me cover. And if you happen to have a Steam code from a different store, you can send that to me through Twitter direct message. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.